of the good songs, one of their good songs, because they have many good songs. So this is just among the good songs that they have. Good Morning Kenya Entertainment Thursday continues, and I am joined by, well, I love this because it is a new thing. I'm also going to be learning on this particular interview because whatever they are doing is quite new in Kenya, very, very new in the country. I am joined by one of the producers of Story Sosa. I was to call it a film, but it's not really a film. We'll find out what exactly it is. And her name is Christine. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Yes. Let's just start with a confusion where I'm not sure if this is film. What is Story Sosa? Is it film? Is it a film? It's storytelling, but okay, let me just let you explain it.
All right. Story Sosa is an immersive live journalism and storytelling experience. We start by asking writers to write a traditional long-form magazine feature, and then we translate that for the stage using multimedia experiences like video, animation, data visualizations, all on stage. And essentially, think of it as like a combination of a TED Talk, a film screening, a concert, but none of those things in particular, all of them in combination. So it's a way of bringing kind of traditional magazine writing to life in front of a live audience in a new and immersive way.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, I hope people have understood that.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of things combined, and I just can imagine the experience that one will feel, you know, being there. Before we get into it, kindly just give us a background of who Christine is.
Well, I'm a journalist. I'm a newspaper journalist, a print writer. I've written for print media. I started my career at the East African. And then I transitioned into writing for online digital publications. But for my whole career, I've been working with words. I'm more of a writer. But 4 years ago, I was asked to start up Baraza Media Lab, which is a space here in Nairobi to support the media ecosystem. We offer co-working space for journalists and content creators and media practitioners. We also offer events and programs and different kinds of support for folks in this industry. And for one of the things that we wanted to do at the Media Lab was to kind of push the boundary on what is possible in journalism and storytelling in this ecosystem. And that's where Story Sosa comes up. It was a way of us rethinking what could be possible for journalism and storytelling in the region, and so that's where the concept comes from.
I'd want to get more into how you came up with the concept. Like, how did that thought come? You know, this is not something we see. This is not something we've seen. So how did that come about?
Well, I would say that the Kenyan media ecosystem is really vibrant, and so a lot of these elements already existed in different pockets. Of course, we know that we have plays, we have film screenings, content creation is coming up. The industry is growing.
It is.
But about 5 years ago, I attended a show called Pop-Up Magazine in the US, which was kind of doing this kind of live journalism, a very new and innovative concept even there. And I just thought it would be amazing to try that in Nairobi. What they had was a stage and a writer reading through their story on stage, but there was a big screen behind them showing multimedia, showing video, animation, and essentially it was just like I've described, a way to bring magazine features to life in a new way, and especially in front of a live audience. I think the audience makes it quite exciting because you're actually doing something in real time in front of people, and you have a way of capturing their attention in a way that isn't possible using any other traditional media format.
Why the name Story Sosa? Sosa, is it the same Sosa ya nyongeze ugali?
Exactly. It is the same. It is the same concept. One of our storytellers who's going to be performing over the weekend, actually, her name is Alea Kasam, wonderful theater artist and poet, writer, very talented. She's one of the first people that I shared this concept with, and she got it immediately. And she's actually the one who came up with the name. We threw around some names, and that one really stuck. And the reason is it's actually 6 stories in one night, so a little of everything in one night. And that's why we're calling it Story Sosa, because it's just like, you know, a taste of all kinds of different multimedia formats delivered in one evening of performances.
Yeah, so 6 stories in one night. So when someone pays the ticket to go for the show, like I've paid to come for the show today, I'll be watching 6 stories?
6 stories in one night, yes. Wow. So we have, I'm going to be one of the storytellers. And we have 5 other performances, including Alea's. We have Wanjeri Gakuru, who is a journalist, but also with a lot of experience in writing for film. She has a story where she's going to be touching on mob justice and kind of Kenyans' attitudes towards that. I think something very relevant going by what is happening in the country right now. We have Lutivini Majanja, who is a writer. She's a lot more of like a kind of a long-form non-fiction writer. And she has a wonderful story about a special object in her family home and the story that it tells about her family. We have Paul Otieno. He's known as Paushinsky. He's actually a photographer. So he's going to do a live photo essay on stage. He's a product photographer, and he does a lot of like product advertising photography for clients. But he's going to do a story using photography on stage. And lastly, I spoke of Alea, who is a writer and theater artist. She's going to do kind of a historical look at her family story, but hers is really, really special. And I don't want to give away, you know, the magic element of the whole story. But she's going to be telling the story of her family and of Kenya and East Africa through the lens of a very popular snack that we all love in this country. And lastly, we have a musical interlude by Dan Aseda. He is a musician, well known, of course, and he's been working on a musical piece for us that has some fiction elements in it. So it's kind of like a combination of music and fiction, delivered kind of in a musical style for theater. And my story is also began as a traditional kind of magazine feature, and I'm going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, but the hook is quite unexpected. I'm going to start in a way that doesn't, you know, tell you that this is what the story is about. Yeah.
How did you go about picking who to work with?
Well, at Baraza we have a community of, you know, media folks, storytellers, freelancers. Some of the people who are performing over the weekend, I actually met them at Baraza. But some of them, you know, I know them from journalism circles, from collaborating with them in other spaces. Before I joined Baraza, I was an editor at The Elephant, which is a digital publication, and a couple of the writers for Story Sosa, we actually met as I was editing their pieces there. So essentially it was through kind of my journalism experience, and because this is something that has never been done before, I really wanted to work with people who were keen to be kind of experimental, right? Who are willing to take that risk to do something that was, you know, has totally not been done, not been proved or anything. And when I put out the call, these are the people who said yes to this untested, unproven idea. And they've been really, really wonderful to work with. Very, very driven, very... You know, they also challenged themselves in the kind of work that they put together, and I'm very, very proud of the work that we've been able to create.
Yeah. How important is it for creators mainly to just churn new parts, you know, because that is what you're doing, and I'm sure after this we'll see more people trying to do the same thing. So just how important is that, and how difficult is it for you as trailblazers?
It's been a tough journey, but I would say I'm very, very inspired by so much work that Kenyan media and journalists, content creators, podcasters, you know, this space is really, really growing and becoming dynamic.
It is.
Sometimes it's actually quite difficult to even put properly describe what Kenyan media really is, right? Because of the many different genres that are emerging and the many different things that people are experimenting with. One of the things that we found very early on when we started Baraza at the end of 2019, early 2020, is just how many requests we got from people who wanted to start podcasts and to have podcasting support. And this is the reason why at Baraza we partnered with Semabox, who are our podcast in-house production house.
Yeah, which was just launched the other day.
Yes,
like
they've been working since 2020 at Baraza Media Lab, and now they're an independent entity, only that now we share space.
Okay.
But Semabox did something really amazing 3 days ago. They launched an app called Wazo that is going to really solve a big problem in podcasting, which is discovery and distribution. Once you start a podcast, those are your two biggest headaches, and Semabox have really done the work over the last 3 years to kind of fix this problem because of the many podcasts that they have incubated and that they have recorded, and now they have enough information and data to actually properly support podcasters with discovery, with distribution, and with advertising opportunities, like a chance to actually earn money from your podcast. So I would say that I'm immersed in a world where people are already doing very innovative things, and Story Sosa is just one of those that kind of like puts all this together and gives it a boost and kind of like puts all that innovation in a package that can be turbocharged to really make a difference in this ecosystem. Yeah.
Good job you're doing at Baraza. Now, still on the work you do at Baraza, you mentioned that you support creatives. Maybe for a creative who's watching right now and they would love to kind of reach you or also get to know what kind of creatives do you support? Do I fit? So if you can just tell the people back at home what kind of creatives you work with and how they can get you.
Sure. We work with the full spectrum of the creative economy. And I would say specifically journalists, writers, podcasters, filmmakers, animators. We're starting up something for stand-up comedians soon, so watch this space. And so we have different programs and events and support for all this kind of spectrum of creatives. At Baraza, we run a membership model, which means that you pay for membership for the year, and what you get is access to our co-working space on Riverside Drive. We're located at Keystone Park on Riverside Drive. You also get member support, networking events, discounted tickets to some of our paid events. We have many different offerings for different, creatives. I talked about photography. That's one of the ones that we have. We have a Saturday photography session. So we are really doing a lot of little things for the creative economy. And for the media ecosystem more broadly. I would say Story Sosa is one of our attempts at bringing this in combination. So at Baraza, we are busy doing many things, but some of what we do is kind of all together, and Story Sosa is one of those. So to get information, you can go on our website, barazalab.com, and you'll get information on what is on offer at Baraza and also how you can join to be a member. Okay. While you were going through some of the storytellers you have on Story Sosa, you were touching on kind of like the themes or what the story is all about. Did you have like
different themes for different people, or you just let them come up with something? Can you just take us through how you came up with the themes that will be showcased?
Sure. Because as executive producer and the editor-in-chief of the stories, I'm the one who actually brought everyone together, and I thought of a theme to actually guide their writing and their guide their creativity. And we're not kind of advertising this explicitly, but I would say that this is what guided the writers as they were writing. I asked them to put together work that would showcase their understanding of home, that would illuminate something about home. So I gave them the word home. What does that mean to you? What does your idea of home, what does your experience of home tell us about ourselves, our lives, our city, what it means to live in Nairobi? What can history tell us about our homes and our lives? And really, those were the prompts that I gave our writers, and I would say that they really blew it out of the park. They have really taken that and brought such life and meaning and understanding to it. And I would say that when you're coming for Story Sosa, that's what you should have in mind. But for me, even as someone who has been involved in it from the very beginning, I'm very inspired by the work that the creators have put together. I'd also want to say that this was very much because of the multimedia and production element of this. We worked with a production crew that has been phenomenal. Our producer AJ Musira, who is hard at work right now, trying to bring in all the last elements of this. We have Tracy Wanjiru, who is also one of the assistant producers. And our show is directed by Mugambi Ndegwa, who some of you may recognize. He is an award-winning actor, scriptwriter, director, improv comedian, has all these accolades behind him. And when I asked him to be the director for the show, I pitched this idea to him, and he got it immediately. And he has really been excellent in helping us, especially those of us among the cast who are, or among the storytellers who are more of like traditional writers. How do you actually present a story for stage? How do you learn to have that stage presence? We actually rewrote some of, after we had finished writing the stories, now we wrote them again for the stage. Like we had to rewrite them all over again now for stage performance. And Mugambi has just been wonderful in translating those stories for live production.
Okay. You mentioned that Mugambi got it from the get-go, and so has did everyone else that you've just mentioned.
Yes.
Just how important is it to work with like-minded people, you know, and the importance of working with people who get you, people who get whatever you're telling them?
That has made it, part of working on this easy. I would say that we've been working on this actively for about 18 months, just over a year and a half now. When I say actively, I mean this team actually being brought together. For me, I've been working on this for 5 years. Thinking of the concept, refining it, getting support for it from different places. I would say that because all the elements of Story Sosa are already well known, what people got immediately is imagining what it would look like if they were brought together. The other thing that made it easy to communicate and to get people on board was, I think, I would say generally speaking, the Kenyan media industry and journalism in particular has been going through a very difficult time. A lot of financial pressures, a lot of layoffs in many different media houses, a very uncertain job situation. And so many people, many of us that I talked to about this idea were really just looking for something new, something different, something fresh. And so when we communicated this idea to them, that actually explains why they were right on it, because people are looking for something, fresh.
All right, we'll take a short break right now, but when we come back, we will be knowing where we can go to watch this particular storytelling event. I'm so used to you know, film and all, but this is not film. This storytelling event by the name Story Sosa.